How's it going, Moxie? I'm super excited about the training that we've got going on today. There's some really awesome metabolic conditioning work upcoming. It's certainly the core of our conditioning for the week, right? But before we get into that, I want to spend just a minute to talk about some of the mobility that we have programmed, all right? Today, we've got 3 different stretches programmed. We have pigeon for 2 minutes on each side, a seated straddle where we're going to try to keep a flat back for about 3 minutes total, and then 1 minute of ankle dorsiflexion work with some additional load for 1 minute on each side, okay? One thing I do want to comment here, since we're just doing 3 kind of what would conventionally be termed static stretches, is that we want to try to move around a little bit when we're in these positions. All right, so I'll use ankle dorsiflexion with some additional load as an example. Whenever we're driving our knee out over our toe, right, trying to obviously keep that heel down, but we're using some additional weight to kind of assist us in that, we don't want to just get into one position and hang out at in range for a minute, right? Because that's going to miss potentially a lot of the tightness that we might have other places, right? So instead of just driving our knee, say, over our big toe, which would kind of be, a stable position, why don't we try to, maybe hit that for about 5 seconds, come off, and then try to change the angle a little bit, maybe drive our knee out over our pinky toe, and just play around with some of those different angles, because it's going to capture a lot more of what could potentially be going on with any tightness that we have going on in our ankle. The same sort of thing would certainly hold for pigeon as well, trying to change the angle of our torso just to capture a little bit more of the tightness that's going through our hip and our piriformis, right? So play with that today, guys. Try to kind of move a little bit more in some of these positions just to capture some more of that tightness, all right? Now, moving on from there, our main conditioning piece for the day is a set of intervals. It's called Stowaway. It's going to be every 4 minutes for 5 total rounds. We're going to do 30 jumping lunges, a 200-meter sprint, and then 10 jumps over PVC. We're looking at something that, is a pretty standard height here, so maybe about 24 inches for guys, 20 inches for ladies on that PVC jump over, okay? Let's set up with what you've got, all right? We're looking at having some high-intensity intervals here. So that's going to be something between 2 and 2.5 minutes each round, accompanied with 90 seconds to 2 minutes of rest or something in that range, okay? And this is really going to be a choose-your-own-adventure, if you will, of how intense this workout is. It's all going to be about how you pace that 200-meter run, all right? So I would recommend here to try to pace that first 200-meter run at about 90% effort or something like that. That would be an effort where I run my 200 meters, but if I absolutely had to, I might be able to sustain that pace for another 100 meters after that. And that's just because this workout is going to be a leg destroyer, right? You're really going to start getting fatigued, especially in those later rounds, right? The first 3 rounds, our volume is still going to be pretty low. You've got a lot of recovery, so you might be feeling okay. But once we get to rounds 4 and 5, all of the intensity that you've accumulated up to that point is really going to compound. So let's pace out maybe that first round a little bit so that we can hang on to intensity at the end, all right? And then once we finish up with those intervals, we do have some accessory work that's going to specifically target our posterior chain. It's going to be 3 giant sets. We have 20 glute bridges. Those are going to be unweighted with 2 legs, but we're going to pause for a second at the top of each rep. Then we have 10 single leg deadlifts on each side. You can load this any way you want to, whether that's with a dumbbell or an odd object, whatever you have available. And then we have a max effort set of shoulder tees, all right? I want to talk about those for just a second. The shoulder tee is essentially going to be a reverse fly, but we're going to try to keep our arms straight through the entire movement, and I want these to be really strict and controlled, okay? So the way it's going to work, right, we're going to be kind of hinged forward like we would for a deadlift or anything else. And then we're going to have 2 objects, right? I would say something between 1 and 5 pounds. So if you have access to some cans or some water bottles, anything like that is going to work perfectly fine for this. Just try to make sure that they're equal load. We're going to hold 1 object in each hand. And then once we're in this setup position, we want to try to pin our shoulder blades back and together and keep them there the whole time. And then from this position, we're just going to raise our arms out to the side, up to about 90 degrees or so. And we're going to bring it back down, but keeping our shoulder blades pinned together through that entire range. In particular, we don't want our shoulder blades to kind of round forward as we bring our hands together at the bottom. Okay? Your max effort set, we're just going to crank through as many of those as we can at about a second on the way up, a second on the way down, hopefully never really stopping the movement. And then once you start to feel that you're losing that position in your shoulder blades, that you're starting to round forward a little bit at the bottom, we're just going to call our set there. Hopefully that's somewhere around 15 or maybe some more reps. Just kind of depends on the load that you'll have available. Okay, but really go slowly there. Try to get a pretty good burn going through your shoulder blades, through the scapular muscles, just because that's really going to help us kind of increase our stabilizers in our shoulders, and that's going to apply to a whole host of other things that we have going on, like our overhead squats tomorrow. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed training today. Don't forget to log those short scores in SugarWOD, and I will see you guys tomorrow.